I'm Chelsea. I'm Mako Kitten on Tumblr, AO3, LJ, Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much everywhere else.
I'm Mallory Turner. I'm known as Lastcox on Tumblr. My formal handle on the internet is Lascow.
Anderson.
Okay. Megan.
Ginger Tang.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Agnew.
I'm Curtis Stowaway.
And I'm on Tumblr, I'm Allison Cumberbatch. It's my future last name anyway.
Favorite adaptation of Sherlock? That's difficult.
So hard.
Yeah. I mean, all of them? I mean, like, BBC Sherlock was what got me into, like, Sherlock in general. Like, I had seen the first Robert Downey Jr. movie, but, like, I was like, oh, it's good, but it's good. And then, like, BBC Sherlock just, like, really sucked me in, and it's kind of still my major obsession. I'm just obsessed with it, so I'm gonna say BBC.
BBC. Yeah, gotta say the BBC. As you can tell, probably I'm doing Werewolf John, so that's probably one of my favorite AUs of John and Sherlock. But, well, naturally, it's kind of fun.
I like the BBC one, but I also kind of really have a soft spot for like the movieverse one with Jude Law and you know, Robert Downey Jr.
The Laurie King books, Beekeeper's Apprentice, and it's 10 sequels, 9 sequels, lots of books.
I started with the Granada Holmes. Right now my favorite like new take on it is the BBC.
I do like the ones with Basil Rathbone. I've been watching those lately.
Yeah.
But BBC Sherlock was my introduction to it, and then I started reading the books. And it wasn't that I hadn't been interested before, it just sort of seemed like, I don't know, I would read other things and then...
I've read a couple of the books, but it was after I watched BBC because that's what made me fall in love with the characters and the story and all of it. So BBC is my version.
Strangely enough, it's House MD. Because House MD is just, nobody realizes it's Holmes until they start looking, and then they're like, he lives at 221B, his name is House, Holmes, Wilson, Watson, and I feel like House is actually one of the only modern adaptations that gets Irene Adler right. Because Stacey Warner like goes away with her husband after coming back into his life and marking him. And it's so fantastic, and nobody realizes it until somebody says something. And then they're like, oh my god, my mind is blown.
My favorite Sherlock is the canon. My favorite adaptation of the canon is probably Brenda Holmes. It's classic, it's familiar, it's cozy.
People like Sherlock Holmes because he has his own sort of sense of what is right, you know, of what is just. And people like Dr. Watson because they can see themselves in him.
It's really got to be the sort of friendship aspect. Like, I feel like there aren't enough stories out there that are just really about the friendship. I mean, you can say it's about like the crimes or the crime solving all you want, but what we're all really focused on is that really awesome friendship that we all want to be a part of it, and it's just so impressive and we love it.
Yeah, just like in the play last night, Vicious and Vulgar, and how like, I mean, that's what they talked about, is that it was the friendship, and it really is, because we all can identify with that and wanting to have that love and that, like, I mean, whether you ship John and Sherlock or not, there is love. They love each other, and it's not like, and I think that we all can really identify with that love.
Definitely the wit, because I like things that are smart and funny and just kind of like smartly, you know, jabbing at something. Just it's a subtle kind of humor, and I really like it. And a lot of my artwork is humorous. Yeah. So
I think mostly because it's in Watson's point of view, it's the stories, and even in the shows, they usually begin with Watson, like because he's so human, you know. He's almost like, even though he's a war hero, he's almost like the everyday man, and he's like in this huge slump, and you know, as a person, you feel like for him, like, how is he gonna, you know, find a way out of this? And he finds Sherlock, and Sherlock's like this hero, even though he doesn't think himself as one. He's this man that just like that Watson just like is in awe of and who he finds amazing, and Sherlock just shows him like, you know, there's more to life than, you know, just trying to find a way.
It seems to me that it's, I mean, even if you don't slash them, the relationship between John and Sherlock is very interesting, that they are such different and interesting people, and their relationship between them is just very, very fascinating and has so many levels of depth, especially depending on the interpretation you use or the version of the show, of the version of the stories that you've enjoyed.
Well, you have like a lot of different characters that you can relate to. Mostly I would say are very nuanced. I feel like people try to pigeonhole them into very trope-like characters, but they're not. I mean, if you look at any one character, there's somebody for everyone.
So there's different relatable people for everybody, and and they're all likable in their own ways. Even the evil ones, even Jim Moriarty, he's a very good villain, and he's very likable.
Yeah, I really just started out just doing fan art like when I was 12 years old. I've done a lot of Sherlock Holmes digital fan art, and I've been breaking away and trying to merge fandom with my actual profession. I have a studio sculpture degree, and I make puppets. So, you know, trying to, you know, put fandom to the next level.
There's so much potential, though.
So much potential for beautiful AUs, and Werewolf is one of my favorites.
And just like the stopping points, they always have such, at least in Sherlock, they always have such good stopping points that like leave so many things you can go off of. And that's what I really like about it.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write a fan fiction, and then like write like a little bit, and that's more my own like lack of motivation. But like I really like drawing from the characters, and I role play all the time, and it's really great to like work within those constraints, but still like have like your own freedom. I mean, like I went to the fanfic writing 101 panel, and like everything they were talking about, I was like, yeah, that's why I really like, that's why I like role playing. Like, of course they were talking about fanfic writing, but like creatively there's just something, I don't know what it is, but there's just like the inspiration of like those characters and like drawing from them.
I'm one of those fans that just consumes everything. I'm like a black hole. So I'll read like 1,000 things. And that's basically like what I do in my free time. So I'm not really inspired to create so much as to consume insane amounts of other people's creativity.
It's just so many of these other fandoms. I mean, you got Supernatural, you got Doctor Who, you got all those, and it's just this wonderful creative fan base, and you just look at everyone's art and you're like, oh my god, I could totally draw something like that, or dude, that's a really great AU, I'd love to draw something within that, or you just see all these things and there's just this big creative cloud of people, and it's just dripping with inspiration.
Obviously it hasn't influenced my cosplaying at all, right? No, I'm actually mostly a fanfic author. So I do a lot of writing, and it's definitely helped me become a stronger writer, just the same way that writing anything over and over again will help you become a stronger writer. But you know, I've researched things that I had no idea I would ever need to know. And I've also, you know, there's such a strong fan community that through cosplaying, through writing, I've met so many people and I've made so many friends, and I would never give them up for the world.
I've always been observant, but when I watched BBC's Sherlock, it made me observe even more than I usually do, and I was like, oh, I see that, oh, I can do that, oh, hey, and then like I started reading more scientific books, anatomy, because I want to be more like Sherlock, brain-wise, database, and it's just, I love BBC. Sherlock's my favorite show.
I like the TV series. Like, I like the modernization of it, how they keep the aspects of the written canon, which is actually really cool. You have to know the series to be able to pick up on everything. As well as like, I do like the movie versions. It's like a little more like, more dramatic.
More bromance, really.
More bromance.
Well, it's like they have more bromance, and BBC, it's more gay.
It's more gay.
There's a difference. But I love them. Love them all.
Well, I'd say what's interesting about the cinematography of any adaptation you look at is they all are looking for ways to help you understand how Sherlock's mind works, Some leave that out, but they always try to find a way so you're sort of with it. Like the Robert Downey Jr. version, they show him thinking it out before he does it, and in the BBC version, they write it on the screen. And that I find very interesting because it helps you figure out how he thinks, so you can, when you try to write a fic or anything like that, it helps you sort of, it guides you as to what that thinking even looks like.
It just kind of sparked up a big passion for me again, something I hadn't felt in a while, and that it inspired me to get back into drawing or get back into writing, do cosplay.
I started watching the Granada Homes when I was about 9, and that probably fueled my Anglophilia. By the time I was in college, I did my undergrad BA thesis on adaptations of Sherlock Holmes and what Sherlock Holmes means throughout different eras, 2 different cultures. And I would put on little plays for my parents while I played Sherlock Holmes and made my brothers play like Watson and the dog and other stuff like that. So I don't know, I think just Holmes has created the foundation of sort of my fanish life. So even when I'm not super involved in that aspect of it, my identity as a fan, like I don't think it can ever be separated from how I feel about Sherlock Holmes because it's just been there for over 20 years now.
I'd also like to extend a thanks to you, the fan base, because I don't know if it's a thing, if it's a Seattle thing, I don't know if it's a Sherlock thing, I don't know if it's just a cool geek girl thing and geek guy thing, but Sherlock Seattle both years has been like the huge love fest that I've never seen ever at con before, where everybody seems to just get along, even if they don't have the same ideas, and everybody's so happy to see each other, and it's just like squeezing and hugging and loving and squeeing. And so thank you for bringing that to the con, because no matter how great a con we make, if you don't bring that love and that acceptance and that energy and that joy, then the con, doesn't matter how good it is, it won't be, it's as good as the attendees as well as the programming. So thank you.